Okay everyone, so in this next lesson, let's talk about loops. And similar with if statements, we are checking if a certain condition is going to be true inside of the parenthesis. And what we just want to do here is that if the condition is true, we want to print out whatever is inside of our code block. So it's like it's going to be doing the exact same thing. The only difference is that as long as this condition is going to be true, we would want to keep the code block running. Whatever instructions that we have in the code block, we want to keep it running over and over again, depending on the number of times that we would want it to run. And loops are very useful for executing the same block of code again and again. That's one of the things that we want to take note of, as long as a certain condition is going to be true. We just need to be careful when we are working with loops that we don't run into what we call an infinite loop. So we'll try to look into an example of that later on. Now, the first PHP loop that I want to talk about is the while loop. So we do have while loop. And this is just going to be looping through a block of code as long as the specified condition is going to be true. And let's have a declaration of variable I here. And let's say that will be initialized with the value of 1. And while, let's have a while keyword and the function invocation operator from where we will be making a comparison, or a condition from where we will say that is less than 10. And then inside of the code block, we would want to have an echo that says that we want to echo the value or the current value of I. And one thing to take note of here, we need to make sure that we increment the value of the variable I by 1, or else we will encounter what we call an infinite loop. So that means we need to have the $, and let's use a plus here for us to be able to increment the value of I. And let me just Alt Z this, and let's now go to our browser and check how that will look. So if we try to refresh, we do get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because what we have as a condition here is going to be less than 10. If we wanted that to include 10, we can add here the assignment operator, and that should be able to give us up to the value of 10. So 1 is less than 10 and equal to 10. So if I wanted to go and add a line break here, just to show you what that will look like. So let's get a echo break here, and let's put a line break. So that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I try to break this down again, let's try to read through the code base that we have created here. We declared and initialized a variable and assigned it the value of 1. We have the while loop keyword, and inside of the function invocation operators, or the open and close parenthesis, we have the condition from where we have that value of 1, and we're checking if it's less than or equal to 10, we will be echoing the value of 1, and we want it to be displayed on the browser. And then we echoed it, and we made sure that we increment this value by 1, or else we will be encountering what we call an infinite loop. That means it will not stop because it will not reach that value of 10. So as we try to increment this, you would see we are now able to print, and it only stopped when it reached the condition that says that it is already less than or equal to 10. And it's already equal to 10. So we finally got this printed out, all of the values from 1 to 10 on our browser. So as long as the condition here is true, the loop will be continuously looping through the code block. Now, if we wanted to stop the loop, even if the condition is still true, what we can do is we can try to use the break statement. Similar with our switch statement, we can put this break statement keyword, or the break keyword here, and we can try to add an nested if statement that will be allowing us to check if we will be reaching a certain number in all of these values that we have here. Let's say I just want to go, let's try to type here what we want to happen. Stop the loop when we reach the value of 5. So that means, how do we go and try to stop the loop when we reach the value of 5? We can then nest an if statement inside of the while statement, and we can try to give it a condition from where we are going to be checking if I is equal to 5. Then we can set that break statement so that it will stop the loop, the while loop, even though we haven't yet reached the value of 10. So if I try to refresh this, you would see now we are able to see the value here. If I is equal to 5, then we want to stop the loop from running, and we are now able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we stop the loop from running, and it didn't display the number 5 anymore because we stopped it when it reached the number value of 5. So as we can see here, the break statement is stopping, or it's exiting the loop, the while loop, when the value of I is already equal to 5, and it stops the loop when I becomes 5. And we don't get to print out the number 5 because we did not give it explicit indication that 5 should be printed after the loop. So it will not be echoed or displayed on the browser. So if we wanted to print out the value of 5, we can just simply echo out the variable declaration of the I, and we'll just be adding this additional echo, and when the loop exits, we should now be able to print the number 5. Okay, so another statement that I just want to cover here, let me just copy, and I already added the echo here, and let's just go remove some of these comments, and let's just try to refactor our code. But we'll still be checking for, let's say I'm just going to say I want this to start at the value of 0, and we want to check on whether it is going to be less than 6, and we want to first increment the value, then go and check if it's going to be equal to 3. Let's just say stick with 10. Then we want it to use, instead of the break statement, we will be using the continue statement, which will be used for us to stop the current iteration and then continue with the next. So let's try to analyze what's currently happening here. So we're echoing I, and let's try to comment this out for the meantime. Let's just check what is currently happening. So we can see here we have 1, that's the first loop, 2, 3, 4, and we skip the value of 5. When we reach that value of 5, because we used the continue statement, we actually skipped that number, and we continued echoing the next values until we reach the value of 10. And as we can see, as long as it's I is less than 10, then we want to print out all of the values, and we want to continue printing out the values up to the value of 10 here. So I hope you got an idea with regards to how to use the while loop statement. And it can also be, by the way, we can also use let me just go get this, let's echo this out, and we can also try to use the while, and then instead of, this is an alternative syntax, let's just see how will this be producing. Or let's skip these values, but we want to go and copy this, and we can also have an HR here. Say I'm just going to say 20 here, and then this is going to be 10, just for a little bit of, I don't want this anymore. Then increment this value to 1, and let's see what are we going to get. So we do get 0, 1, 2, 3 up until, let's just give this a value of 1, and let's see, we do get to print out that value. And instead of using this, we can use an alternative syntax, which will be and while. So depending on which you will be more comfortable with, and I think that would be giving us the same result. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to 20. We do see that it's still working the way we want it to loop through the values until we reach that value of 20. So that's it for this lesson, and I hope you got the idea of while loops. In the next lesson, let's talk more about other loops that we can try to use in the PHP language.